Muda, Brenda, Jessica, Susan, Scarlett, Buda papira papa, scrata da di da da da. Collab of awesome.
Hey girls, it's Thursday of Education Week. Today I'm going to teach you guys one of the first things that I had to learn when I first started working with birds, which is how to tie a falconer's knot. Luckily, this is something that I can do one-handed because I have to hold the camera with the other hand, so we're going to see how that goes. You will need some kind of string. I stole a shoelace out of one of my Converse. And something to tie your string onto. Now, one of the most difficult parts about this knot is the fact that if you're actually doing it while holding a bird, you can only use one hand. I'm a lefty. But we always hold the birds on our left hands, so I have learned how to do this one-handed with my right hand. Take your string and somehow hold it in your left hand. Pretend that this is attached to a bird, so you can't use that hand anyway. Then you're going to take this string and wrap it around, just simple, and toss it over the side. Then you're going to pick it up on this side so it's got a full loop around. Fold it into a little loop in your fingers. Then you're going to pass it. If you pull this out, you can see now that there's a top loop and a bottom loop that I just made. So I'm going to pass it down through the top and then up through the second knot. And then pull it tight. So now it's got one loop, one loose string, and then the one that's tied to our imaginary bird. And if the bird pulls on this, the knot just gets tighter. But if you pull on the loose end, the entire thing unravels very simply. But obviously that's not quite a good idea. If the bird is able to get its mouth around the other end and pull on it, then it would be able to free itself. So what we tend to do is after the knot is tied, take the loose end and you tuck it through the loop, and that pulls a nice safety knot. So now either end doesn't work. This one loosens it, but it doesn't untie it ever. Then once you have that down, you can try a more difficult type, which is tying it to your own belt loop. This is something that becomes important when we do presentations with the bird and we need our other hand free to be able to do something, but we need to make sure that the bird isn't going to go anywhere. It's much more difficult doing this to yourself because it's entirely backwards from what you're used to, but it's the same thing. Tuck it through, toss it over, make a loop, down through the top, up through the bottom, pull tight, safety. Please keep in mind that this is not a knot that you would ever want to tie around anything living. Because if you hold up the knot without having it tied to something, it becomes much more apparent that a falconer's knot is essentially a type of noose. And the last thing that you want is to accidentally choke something. I hope you have enjoyed learning this extremely useful skill, and Scarlett, I can't wait to see what you have to teach us tomorrow.